So I don't know how much vlogging I'll end up doing today because vacuuming is on the list, which reminds me I didn't put a square box next to that, so I will be doing that. And it takes me a long time. I vacuum for a couple minutes and have to sit down to get my balance and I go back and forth, but it's okay, it all gets done in the end. But I did make some notes in my journaling this morning. February 1st. It's here. I don't celebrate Imbolc until the actual cross-quarter date. So at the moment I'm not celebrating that particular holiday. But February 1st to me always begins a countdown. February can be the most difficult of our winter months as far as weather here. So it's not about winter feeling over. But I guess because of the shifting light. It's definitely a countdown to spring and what waits on the horizon. And I was thinking, journaled a little bit about the fact that I gave more thought to Sunday service from yesterday about what we're in service to. And I was thinking that I agree with, definitely captured it in my journal, and that there's something fleeting about the joy we get from receiving something. But what about that which is a constant offering in our life? Love from others, friendship, respect, the feeling we get of being part of community. There's things we receive that there's absolutely no sense of the ethereal in our relationship to them. And while I do agree that there is great joy in giving without expectation of return, I also journaled about the fact that realistically, there are relationships and there are exchanges of energy and commitment and offering and receiving where we do expect something in return, and we know others or the situation has expectations of us. So that made me stop and think even more about what service means in regard to that. So maybe being in service to is that greater feeling of the gift of giving without expectation of receiving. Maybe that, the power of being in service to something, transcends the expectations not only that we have of others, but that others have of us. Those expectations exist in the real world, and I think they exist beautifully in the real world. But there's also something that transcends that. I captured from my journal how excited I was at the possibility of the drumming circle. I think I did my happy dance for you yesterday when it comes to that. And I also reflected on yesterday's Sunday service and realized that it felt really good afterwards to stay for social time and feel a bit less uncomfortable in that group of people. There were both men and women that I've just been starting to get to know, but a bit of my anxiety about the chit-chat aspect of being in community passed a little bit. I mentioned when I did a vlog earlier about the I ams that I wrote as part of last full moon, and I was going through my away bag of the things I take to that kind of ritual and got it out so I could append it to my journal. And looking at it again, I'm still caught up with the declarations of I am and the considerations of being ageless and how they align to the Pagan YouTube Challenge question of the week on, well, let's see, how's it phrased? What does this time of year mean to you? And I'm thinking about what I return to this time of year. And this feeling of I am, what I am on my own, whole within myself, even though there are energies which will begin to reach outwards, upwards and away in the turning that's to come, that the great I am at the Annie level is so much a part of this time of the year. So those things need to be glued in to my reflections. I like going back to look at them now that a couple of days have passed. And the other thing that I wanted to mention while I'm sitting at the desk before I start getting busy with the things of the day, some of you who are connected to me elsewhere know that I was very excited to purchase this gift, and thank you again, dear sister, because someone gifted me with the price of it. It's pricey. It's like $40. It is Miriam Robbins Dexter and Vicki Noble's book on the early women in the feminist spirituality movement here in the States. It's called Foremothers of the Women's Spirituality Movement, Elders and Visionaries. It's a series of biographies. And I'm stuck on the front page. Yeah, I'm stuck on the front page. It's a listing, and they dedicated the book to these women who have already passed. And seeing them all listed together as a sisterhood in one place, and realizing how much they influenced me as a young woman, especially as a woman through my 30s and my 40s, how consistent their influence and their inspiration was. Sometimes because I realized I wasn't the same woman in the same way that they were, but still very, very powerful. And I wrote their names, of course in color, in my journal this morning. Margot Adler, Mary Daly, Kay Gardner, Maria Gimbutas, Susan Gray, Patricia Monahan, Shekinah Mountain Water, Lane Redman, Adrienne Rich, Gabrielle Roth, Monica Sue, Merlin Stone, Donna Wilshire, Diane Wolkstein, and Morning Glory Zell Ravenheart. When we talk that we are the sum of our pieces, how many of those pieces are the sum of everything that everyone, whether we meet them or not, has brought to us during the length of our lives? It might seem like a heavy pondering, but truly it's a pondering and consideration of gratitude, reverence. So I had a moment while I'm sitting here out on the porch for a little bit, just took the dogs out and did poop patrol. Remember when I told you yesterday that Ernie has to deal with constantly consoling me, since he sees his role as that of the great consoler if I cry, because I cry all the time, whether I'm happy or I'm sad, and sometimes I'm just overwhelmed. I was sitting on the steps a little earlier while they were running around doing their thing, and I started crying because it's just so beautiful. It's just not that you're outside without a coat, it's just that, you know, what you soak up. It's amazing. I got a little frustrated for a moment because it's noisy out here today. And then I realized it's because our maintenance guys who work so hard here to take such good care of our property are out with backhoes because it's such a good day for them to catch up on some of the damage that was done by that storm that came through. I started off focusing the camera on my Garuda. Someone was selling it in a yard sale here. It's brass, and I don't think they knew what they had. It's not that he's worth money, because it ends up he is, but he's the vehicle for Vishnu. and he is the hawk partner. But anyway, that's really not what I wanted to share while I was out here. Let me tell you what I wanted to share, because, whoops, sorry, focusing in closely on Garuda. Thinking about the journaling I've been doing on what you're in service to and what life brings you and what you bring to it. I came over here because originally I was going to clean out the leftovers, the things that are obviously left over last year here in this flower pot. But what caught my attention for just a moment was, this is our kitchen window, and this is the back side of a postcard sent me by a heartmate. So I looked up as I started to pull the dead bits out of that flower pot, and this is the message the universe brought me today. Yeah, if you're watching this, you know that I always keep your postcards in the kitchen window, season to season. And this morning, you were telling me that you loved me through this screen in the window. Thank you, universe, for reminding me that I am loved, and especially of one particular person this morning who lives in my heart. So that caused me to have a little bit of a moment. Crying can be such a good thing, because it's when we're overwhelmed with happiness that we sometimes leak a bit. So much to sniff. It's woods over here, so you can bet there's a lot that he can smell. Come on, hon. Come on, hon. Get back to leading. Come on, let's get back to leading. So I'm leaving the camera on the length of this walk because, or at least this part of the walk, because a lot of you have wondered exactly how close we are to the bay. So since I started recording, when Ernie and I left, we've come down to the wetlands at the edge of the bay. This is not where the marina is, that's a little bit south of here. We walk down to there too when Mom feels like walking, and her feet are walking, cooperating. So as you can see, when we get down here, we're stopping, honey. That's the bay. So if I turn around, we're at the top of the street. We're up here. Well, that's not us. We're up in that general area. And that's the walk, the short walk down, down to the bay. And from about where I am standing is the floodplain. So they had a couple of foot of water here during that storm that came through the other week. And we have a gentle uphill from here, so somebody's ready to get going again. Ernie was really bad at going for a walk. It stressed him out. And then we took that cross-country trip where we had to keep him in the car in the crates, and then every 2 hours we'd get out and walk around. And he got to be a lover of getting out and about through that experience. We're only taking a short walk together because Roger wants to go for a golf cart ride and I want to go with him. So we're just going around the block and then coming back. Come on, Ern, we're going home, hon. This way. I wish you could hear this. I don't know if you can, but the little creek is full of little minis because it's been so warm. And as I walk up, they're moving away from me. I don't know if they're minis. I think it's too early for tadpoles. You see that wave as they move away from me? Look at it, going way down there. They think I'm a blue heron, come to get them, probably.
Hey, yo.
Hi! Hi, Bob! If I'm watching, I better watch where I'm going or I'll end up joining them. It's busy in here. Yeah. Isn't that wonderful? Friends of ours are going by in a golf cart. And they, see if I can see them here. I don't know if you'll be able to or not. These are tiny guys. What kind of fishes are they? They're minnows. Minnows are any fish. I don't think they're a kind of fish, are they? They're a baby something.
They don't grow to be nothing. They're just. They're just feeding fish. That's all, feeders. Bait fish. Right, there you go.
Okay, now we have to look up when we get home. Is a minnow a species of fish? Because I always thought minnows were a baby of any fish when it's this tiny, but Roger says no, minnows are minnows. That is why the blue heron hung out here. I'm probably standing in his very spot at the moment. Lots of free dinner to be had here. So we looked it up later on tonight because we were curious. I thought minnows were a term for all kinds of little baby fishes. And Roger thought they were a specific fish. And it ends up we're both right. That's always a good thing when a husband and wife can say they're both right. A minnow is a general term for a small fish used as bait, so it can be any little tiny fish. But they're also an actual species, and probably the ones in this picture are an actual species, specifically the blunt nose minnow. Ends up they're the most common fish on the eastern shore, and they only grow to be about 2.5 inches long. It says they can grow to be 4 inches long, but I guess that they would have to probably survive an awful lot of risks from predators and also from fishermen who use them as bait. I think they're one of the most common baits that the people here in our marina use when they're going out for smaller fishes. So we learned something today. My pop-up used to always say, it's a good day whenever you learn something.